could give Deb a round warm of applause.
Good morning. I can't sit there. I can't do that to you. If you told me a couple years ago I would be this excited about speaking at a sexual abuse conference, I would have probably told you to shake your head. But that's part of the transformation that we're supposed to speak about today. And I have to tell you, when just a week ago, I guess, I asked Maria, okay, so I'm speaking, what do you want me to talk about? I can talk about a lot of things. And she sent me this email back, and I had to write back and say, what are you talking about? I didn't get it. I was so tired, and I've been on this journey of writing this book for 16 months, and it's taken me in so many directions, and one is to the extreme of exhaustion. But that's okay, because it's been an amazing journey. So what I'd like to share with you today, basically, is a journey that starts with one individual. You can guess who that is. It goes to 39 individuals, and then it just goes out, and it goes viral. When I was 11 years old, I was in a car, and the car pulled up in a driveway, and I had been tricked into getting into the car that day, because what my perpetrator didn't know was I already decided that he wasn't going to touch me again. He got out of the car, and he walked towards the door to his apartment, and I stayed in the car. And he turned around, and he motioned to me to follow, and I just put my head down a little bit, and I shook my head. That was in 1973. So he started to get closer to the car, and he kept saying, come on, come with me, just for a moment. As he got really close to the car, he reached for the door handle, and I quickly slid across the front of the seat, and I slammed down the lock. And he didn't like that. And he tried to convince me to unlock the door, and he said, Debbie, unlock the door, which the name of my book is Unlock the Door. After about, it seemed like 5 minutes of him trying to persuade me to unlock the door, he turned and he started to walk towards the apartment. But he got to the front of the vehicle, and all of a sudden he took off, and he started to run around the front of the car. And again, I slid across, and I hammered down that lock. And his whole energy just dropped, because he knew he couldn't get in the car. Because in 1973, you left the keys in the ignition. So I had control of who was getting in that car. So again, he tried to convince me to unlock the door, and I wouldn't. And he turned and he went into his apartment. And that seemed like a long time. One of the things that we need to do is to educate children at a very young age to have the language to talk and to share what is happening with them right away. If you're not familiar with Aaron's Law in the States, look her up. So I sat in the car, and I thought, can I run home? No, it's too far. Didn't know the way. Can I ask for help? I knew how to ask for help, but then I have to explain why I'm asking for help. And I didn't think that would be very cool. Yes, ma'am, can you help me? The perpetrator's gone in there. He's molesting me. Can you, take me home? It just didn't work in my mind. So I sat there and I waited. And then finally he came out, and he came directly straight to the car, and he stood there. And if you want to know the end of the story, you can buy the book. And I'm not even joking. So then let's move ahead. That's the one individual. So now you move ahead. You think I'm going to tell you, right? I'm not. You move ahead to November of 2011. And I was laying in bed one night, and I could not sleep. I couldn't get to sleep. And what had happened is I set goals, and people that know me, the goals are pretty significant, like not being a cyclist and deciding to cycle across Canada, those kinds of things. So I was laying in bed, and I was thinking, why do I do what I do? Why all these challenges? And I had wrapped up the goals for 2011. So a little bit more about me. I've done so many different things, and I'm not here to self-promote or whatever, but there's been so many things, and so many people that know me say, what's that about? You're doing that, and then you're doing real estate, and you're doing this, and all over the place. And you're never focusing on one thing. But in my mind, it was always like I'm absolutely focusing on one thing. And that's personal growth. And that's being the best that I can be and transferring that out there to other people. But there was still something missing, and I think we all have a purpose. Now, the thing about a purpose is from a very young age, there are clues. But until we get to a certain conscious level of awareness, we miss the clues. Sometimes other people see the clues and know exactly what you should be doing, but you don't have a freaking clue. So I lay there that night in bed, and I just started the question, what am I here to do? What am I here to do? Tell me, what is my purpose? And at that point, in terms of the sexual abuse, I had it under control. I never had crazy flashbacks or anything like that. And I kind of felt I accepted it. It was in a certain place, and I was okay with it. So I know you're sitting there thinking, that's an A+ in suppression, right? So I wasn't sure, actually, which it was. But I laid there at night, and I wasn't thinking about it. I was thinking about all these other things, and then all of a sudden, I started to have flashbacks about the different things that had happened to me from the time I was 6 until the time I was 11. And that freaked me out, because I hadn't experienced that before. And it wasn't just one thing, okay, that day, in front of the house. It wasn't like that. It was like from this to this to this, that person, all 4 of them. And it just kept going. And it disturbed me enough that I finally got out of bed, and I went to the computer and I started to type. And the first thing was, Debbie, unlock the door. And that's my part of the story that's in the book. So I went back to bed, and I said, okay, that was real fun. Thanks, universe. What does that mean now? Because that's just another level or layer that has been put on. What does it mean? And then it hit me. No matter where I went, Indonesia, down in Texas, San Jose, Vancouver, wherever I traveled around, people always came up to me and told me their story of sexual abuse. Always. Always. I was raped when I was 16, gave up the child. It was just all the time. And it never really dawned on me. I was teaching self-protection, or I do teach self-protection to women. I go into schools and whatnot. So that was always an opening. But people kept revealing things to me that you wouldn't normally tell. I had a woman standing in line in San Jose, bawling, standing there, waiting to get into a conference, like nothing like this, just a regular conference. And she's standing there revealing about being raped and having a child, giving up the child, and now she's searching for the child. And in my mind, I'm going, well, that's amazing that she's telling me. And the other part of me is going like, are you kidding me? What are you doing, standing here crying and telling this story? But wow, the power of that. So that evening, it hit me what I needed to do. And that was to put together a book of stories with methodologies in it as well. Because it's not good enough to tell the story and then, just the dirty details of the story. But it's more about the feelings that the people have and what they've gone through and how other people can learn from their experiences. Because that's what all of this is about, is sharing and talking and having a voice that you guys have been struggling for so long. And we're at that place now where people are listening. And people are talking like in droves. So that night I figure, at 48 years old, I had about this much information, honors degree psychology, all that stuff. But in the 16 months that it's taken me, in the book I've just finished the conclusion now, so it'll be out probably the end of May, beginning of June. I've learned so much, because when I reflect on the people that I've talked to over the last 16 months, there's over 1,000 years of experience and wisdom. And that's incredible. And some of these people are in their room right now. Lynn pops out, and Kelly's sitting over there, and Charmaine are here. And I'm gonna miss somebody. Who else? Who else is in the book? Lisa Arthur's in the book. Tim's in the book. Stuart's in the book. There's just a whole list of people. Like I said, there are 38 people and myself in the book. And I've learned an incredible amount from that experience with being with those people. And I think when we talk about transformation, that's what it is. It's sharing. It's important to heal ourselves and whatever that definition is to you. But it's more important to share your experiences. Because if you learn and you just keep it in your mind or feel you don't have anything worthy of revealing, what a shame. Because you're an inspiration to somebody, whether or not you know it, somebody is watching you and learning from you and being inspired by what you say. One thing I do want to share, I'm going to try to finish even before I get the hand. If I finish up this way, you'll know why. Hey, James. There are so many observations in the book, and the conclusion isn't really that long, because I believe that everybody's wise enough when they read the book that they'll take away exactly what they need from the book, and they don't need me telling them one way or another what that is. But one thing that I did learn in the book is this: healing. What is healing? We talk about healing or getting to a place, getting unstuck, and getting somewhere other than where we are. To me, what I discovered in the people that I've met, not just in the book, but in 200 hours of volunteering and taking things at the Gatehouse, and all the hours in the interviews, I figure it's 2,000 hours in 16 months, the closest estimate that I have. What I learned is healing is basically three things, the people that I feel are at different levels of healing that they encounter. One is acceptance. It's not to condone, it's not to make light of, it's not even to forgive. It's to accept what has happened to you and take that and put that into a place within you that there's comfort. And I don't mean you're welcoming it or ooh, it's all fluffy or anything like that. But everybody knows that when you try to suppress something or forget it, it's just going to haunt you. And that's exactly what, to me, post-traumatic stress is. It's trying to push something away so strongly that it just comes back and just hits you in the side of the head every time you try to forget it. Because the activity of trying to forget just manifests more of it. Okay? So the accepting of whatever happened to you is so important. But it's not just accepting. What does that mean? Okay, so it's integrating. It's integrating what happened to you, because we're all about polarities. The good, the bad, the light, the dark, all of these things in our lives. Everything in your life has an opposite to you or a different meaning to you. And it's what you do to bring them together and manage those that really makes a difference. The methodologies in the back of the book, I've engaged in those. And I've learned so much. And when you get to Dr. John DeMartini, the guy from The Secret, and you read his, you may be rolling your eyes. My editor couldn't finish reading it because she was offended by it. But finish it. Because there's such a huge message there. And if you get an opportunity to do any of the methodologies, it's so powerful. Everybody knows what group work does. There's some things in there that are unique and different, but it's having an open mindset that'll get you to healing. Because if you've been stuck and you've been living this stuff, you're obviously in the wrong place, so you need to go somewhere else. So we have accepting, we have integrating all the things that happen to you and merging it within your life. The last thing that you need to do is what everybody in this room is doing, is serving other people. Because when you focus only on yourself, it's going to be hard to get further ahead. Yes, you need to take the time, you need to go to group, and talk therapy is wonderful, of course. But when you engage with other people, and when people listen to you in a non-judgmental environment, and when you listen to them, and the connections that's made, that's profound. So the last thing that I want to say to you is keep doing what you're doing. Keep going about it and helping other people. Just be the best that you can be. And what I believe is that we're looking so much for solutions in education, all of that stuff. But I think the solutions really are inside ourselves. We all have it. And when we just believe in ourselves and do what we love and be with people with the same energies, that's what transformation is. That's all. If you are interested in knowing more about the book, just come and take one of these cards.